The Witcher Season 4 begins about 100 years after Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer have become legends. A traveling storyteller, Stribog, recounts their tales to a curious girl, Nimue, who constantly corrects him, having even stolen Jaskier's old poetry book to get the details right. As Stribog narrates, we see Geralt effortlessly slaying monsters, proving his legend endures. Nimue then takes over, diving into Geralt and Yennefer's chaotic but unbreakable romance, and Ciri struggles as the child of surprise. War, monsters, and betrayal force Geralt to confront Vilgefortz while leaving his family behind. Flashbacks show magic-filled battles, kisses mid-fight, and brutal monster encounters, illustrating that Geralt always finds a way back. Ciri, blaming herself after Tol Lara, renounces her powers, takes the name Falka, and distances herself from her family, but Nimue insists their stories are far from over. She shows Stribog a drawing linking herself to Ciri's saga, hinting at destiny. Stribog teases her, then points out she skipped key moments, like Geralt's miraculous survival. That's where the story shifts back to Geralt, now traveling with Milva and Jaskier after leaving Brokilon Forest. They're heading toward Nilfgaard, following a trail of destruction, trying to reach Emir's empire. Along the way, they stumble on a caravan full of corpses, Havakars, traders who rob the dead, and Geralt wipes them all out after they ambush him. In one of the coffins, he finds Cahir, the Nilfgaardian soldier who once hunted Ciri. Geralt's ready to kill him on the spot, but Jaskier reminds him that Ciri once spared Cahir's life, so Geralt reluctantly lets him go, warning that next time he won't. Later, Geralt and co meet two dwarves. Before they know it, they're spending the evening with Zoltan and Percival, a group of refugees, and a foul-mouthed parrot named Field Marshal Windbag. The next morning, Geralt's already trying to sneak off alone again. Milva calls him out, saying he's hurt, starving, and pretending he doesn't need help. Jaskier pushes him too, asking why he is so determined to find his family if he supposedly doesn't care about anyone. Geralt finally admits he's been having nightmares, dreams where Ciri's happy and dancing, but death is right there with her. He feels like her destiny is pulling her towards something terrible, and he's terrified he won't be able to save her. Jaskier tries to lighten the mood, and they pack up to keep moving, now with Zoltan, Percival, and the group of refugees tagging along. Out on the road, Geralt and his crew reach a quiet farmstead. Percival smells cows, but a woman warns them to stay back, claiming there is a pox outbreak. Geralt instantly senses she is lying, and when soldiers show up trying to assault her, he jumps in. Using Zoltan's dwarven forged sword, he cuts them down one by one. Milva steps in to help him fight, and just as one soldier escapes to call for reinforcements, Cahir, who's secretly been following them, appears out of nowhere and kills the runner. After the dust settles, the group keeps riding south, with the road stretching endlessly ahead. Meanwhile, Yennefer's searching for Vilgefortz and narrating a letter to Ciri, saying she hasn't felt her presence since the explosion at Taned. She still believes Ciri is alive, but fears something dark is rising across the continent. As she tracks down clues, she questions locals about a bracelet connected to Vilgefortz's plans, but when her portal magic fails in Nilfgaardian territory, she is forced to fight her way out. Yennefer rides back to Gorsvalen, only to find chaos waiting for her. There is a full-on riot happening outside the building packed with sorceresses. Kira, Triss, Marigold, Margarita, and Sabrina are all inside, trying to keep things under control. As Yennefer pushes through the mob, she spots someone she thinks is Vilgefortz and chases after him, but it turns out to be a random rogue mage using illusion magic. Kira opens the gate to help her, but ends up getting stabbed. That's when Yennefer realizes the truth. Vilgefortz planted dark mages in the city to stir up the mob and turn the people against them. She manages to capture one of them, determined to get answers about Ciri and Vilgefortz's next move, but all she gets is more arrogance and cryptic threats. Yennefer regroups with the other sorceresses. She realizes the portal network is down, at least for them, and it's probably because Vilgefortz is manipulating it. Yennefer then tracks down one of the mages, Bernita, and when she refuses to talk, she uses her magic to dig into her mind. Triss tries to stop her, saying she's going too far, but Yennefer is desperate. She says the Brotherhood's gone, the kingdoms are collapsing, and she won't let Vilgefortz be the last thing standing. But then Bernita suddenly becomes possessed by Vilgefortz himself. His voice comes out of her mouth, mocking Yennefer and offering her a place by his side. He tries to tempt her with promises of power and protection, but she throws it back in his face. The possession ends with Bernita's eyes exploding, a final spell Vilgefortz left behind to cover his tracks. Triss tries to calm Yennefer down, saying they can't win this fight alone, but Yennefer refuses to give up. She insists they'll build an army of their own. Ciri, on the other hand, is running for mercenaries and ends up joining a gang of teenage outlaws called the Rats. She wants to go north, but the Rats tell her to stick around until morning. They even invite her to a barn dance to relax, trying to give her a taste of normal life again. It turns out Ciri already met Missel in Gorsvalen right after fighting off a young wyvern. Missel brings her to meet her crew, a rowdy gang of teenage thieves known as the Rats. She introduces them like family: Reeve, the one always on fist tech; Iskra, the magical one who freaks everyone out once they realize she's woo-woo powerful; Gisela, a deserter no one's sure what side he fought on; Kaylee, a prick but handy with explosives; and Asa, the quiet guy who prefers horses to people. Missel calls herself the trustworthy one, and by the way she looks at Ciri, it's clear there is a connection brewing. That night, Kaylee tries to force himself on Ciri, but Missel steps in to protect her. She tells Ciri she doesn't need to explain what she's running from, that what matters is having someone to lean on. Ciri hesitates, but when Missel offers to leave, she tells her to stay. The two end up growing close and sharing an intimate moment. The next morning, Ciri stands in a lake, reflecting on everything she's lost: Brokilon, her family, her name. She whispers the words "something ends, something begins" in the elder speech, and with that, she decides to stop running. She officially joins the Rats, choosing chaos over solitude. Back in Nilfgaard, Emperor Emir is playing his usual power games. He mocks King Radovid, jokes about politics, and discusses the Northern King's Council with his spymaster Stefan Skellen and the mage Sarthesius. When he asks about Kahir, he's told the general's probably dead, which suits him fine, fewer loose ends. Then a soldier bursts in with a message: Geralt's alive and coming for him. Emir's amused but cruel about it, ordering the soldier's execution in front of his fake daughter Terrine, who's posing as Ciri. He even makes her decide the man's fate to test her loyalty, and she obeys without flinching. Then the story cuts to the northern kingdoms, where the rulers are having a war council. Queen Maeve, King Foltest, King Henselt, King Demavend, and the newly crowned Radovid are all gathered, arguing about how badly they're losing to Nilfgaard. Maeve's furious that every kingdom's getting crushed: Lyria, Aedern, even Vengerberg's been burned to the ground, while Foltest admits they're running out of options. When Radovid opens his mouth, Maeve tears into him, mocking him for being a puppet for Dijkstra. Behind the scenes, Dijkstra and Philippa are having their own tense conversation. Philippa thinks Radovid's acting like a child, while Dijkstra's frustrated that she's pushing too hard. He wants to strengthen the king, not destroy him, mostly because he's the one secretly running the kingdom anyway. When Philippa reminds him killing King Vesemir wasn't part of their plan, he tells her that unless you want our new king to discover who ordered the murder of his brother, find yourself a new plan. The two are clearly headed for a power struggle of their own.